Let's go to the phones again and talk to our guy, Austin Price of Volquest.com, who joins us each and every Tuesday. His time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty, who was also there at Daddy and Barbecue with us, having a good time. AP, good morning, man.
Was that former Vol Todd Campbell?
Oh, no, that was TC in Athens, man. TC in Athens. Legendary TC.
I think it's some former Vol that had TC as his initials.
I do remember Todd Campbell, though. Yeah, man. So we were talking about this offense. Dylan Gabriel's comments to Brandon Marcello over there, 247, and we understand that the old place is going to have some not so flattering things to say about the coach leaving, and then the new place will be happy about the new coach coming in. It's kind of par for the course. And Tennessee has the opportunity to either make Dylan Gabriel's comments right or wrong about how they play an offense. Offensively, AP, what do you think the biggest area of improvement needs to come from game 1 to game 2?
Well, I just think, being more consistent, cleaning up the little mistakes, Jason. Joe Milton wasn't perfect. Neither were the receivers. I thought the offensive line was really pretty good. I mean, they had a couple of silly holding penalties that I think you can clean up. Obviously, we know the running backs were on point last Thursday night, but just little things. Again, everybody's so quick to make a snap judgment. I mean, there are threads on the general's quarters, Heupel's butts on the line. I mean, TC's talking about claps. I mean, I think Heupel knows that there you can variate that. I mean, they were playing Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And I just, again, the quick judgments of a coach off one game, a quarterback off one game, that might be who they are. Okay? That might, but you don't know that based off the Bowling Green game. Like, let's play the first month of the season.
Yep. Then
decide. It just always cracks me up. Everybody wants the 85 Bears defense. But I'm telling you, you look on Twitter, you look on message boards, halfway through the second quarter, everybody is ripping the defense. They gave up 6. They never gave up a touchdown. I mean, now the reaction, well, what was Bowling Green? Okay, they did what they were supposed to do. Like, everybody wants the 85 Bears defense and the 2000 Rams offense. It just seems right now the most unstable program they've ever been in their whole program history, with all the investigation and the turnover and the transfers and the new transfers in. And it just, I guess I just don't understand what people thought was going to happen. I guess everybody just thought they were going to run. I picked it 52-17, which is a 35-point win. They won by 32. So it was a different version of the same thing. They didn't score as much, but they didn't give up as much. I don't know. I guess just I don't understand why there's this rush to judgment on everybody. It always just baffles me. And again, they didn't play their best game last week. But look around college football. There was a lot of teams that didn't play their best game last week.
And lost.
Yeah. Or barely won.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying Tennessee's beating Pittsburgh this weekend either. I'm just saying let's take it one game at a time. Nobody's anointing anybody anything. Let's just see what they got and see what happens this week. See if Heupel makes the adjustments, can get improvement out of Joe Milton this week. See, if the defense can continue to play well. I mean, who knows? The offense may play lights out this week, and the defense may not be very good. If it's like my golf game, whatever part I'm trying to work on to get better, when it gets better, some other part of my game falls apart. So, I don't know. I'm on my soapbox this morning mostly because just the comments I see, I'm just like, I just don't understand. Like, let's let it happen a little bit before we lose our minds and, rip on Joe Milton and rip on Josh Heupel. And I guess I just don't get it. But again, I should get it. I've been around here through 50 different coaching staffs. I just thought with the way the offseason went and kind of the wait-and-see approach everybody had with this team, I guess I gave everybody too much credit for wanting to wait and see what would happen instead of just diving head in at the first incompletion, the first, sign of, average to below average play.
Well, it's about balance, Austin. It's about balance. It's never black or white, somewhere in the middle, but it's about balance. Like, there's no question that adjustments need to be made. That's what every team.
No doubt they can be better.
Yeah, every team in the country, first game of the season, like every season I played Tennessee, you come back after the first game and you're correcting everything. It's the best time to do it, right? It's where you make your biggest improvement. There's no doubting that. But again, it's about balance. There's a difference between understanding that corrections have to be made from, oh my gosh, this team is this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong, everything's wrong. And then, but you have to sit back and realize, like, oh yeah, we won by 32, and the game was never in doubt. So it's about balance. Like, yes, no one's saying that you don't, have any critiques to make, but at the same time, the critiques don't have to be overboard to where you actually forget that Tennessee won by 32 points. It's about balance.
And Ben texted me the article to read, and when he asked me about it, I was going to be able to talk. I mean, like, I read the Dillon Gabriel stuff. I guess I just don't get it like you guys do. I mean, it is natural. I mean, listen, if I had $1 for every time a coach came in here, felt like the cupboard was bare, and the last coach that was here before is sitting there going, "Man, I left so much talent there." You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. I mean, like, everybody's quick to rip on the old coach, and praise the new one, even current players.
Yep.
So I mean, like that happens. I mean, listen, you're gonna be partial to the guy you're sitting in the room with.
That's right.
Not the guy that left you.
That's right.
And I mean, like, I don't know. I just, again, that's another thing. I mean, it's as tale as old as time. Like I said, every coach that walks in the door was left with nothing, and every coach that was, that was fired or let go or moved on, left the cupboard and left them a limitless supply of talent. I mean, I just, I don't know. It is what it is. It's just like, somebody asked Caleb Tremblay the difference between USC and Tennessee yesterday. Well, I mean, he's at Tennessee now. What's he going to say? He's going to say, he tried to preface it and say, well, not to, not, he basically was not to throw shade at USC.
USC sucks.
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course he's going to praise the place he's at now.
Exactly.
And I think he means part of it, but I mean, like, he enjoyed his time at USC too. It's not like it was, a terrible place to be. So, I mean, I guess what I expect from Dillon Gabriel. If you ask, any quarterback across America, if you ask Mackenzie Milton about UCF, he'd probably.
Tell us how you feel, Austin.
Austin, we got you. I think he dropped off.
AP, you still there?
Yeah, you there?
Now we hear you. You dropped off there for a second. Well, we were so curious about this Dillon Gabriel stuff just because you kind of had some things come out early in the Butch Jones tenure and early in the Jeremy Pruitt tenure, and you look back on it and you say, maybe they were onto something. So I guess that's kind of why we were very interested in it, especially when he's talking about just the game plans. You go into a game expecting to see one defense, and then in 8 out of the 10 games last year, it was a different type of defensive scheme that showed up. And just essentially he did not like how complex Heupel's offense appears to be, that it was you're running this play no matter what, and he preferred the get up to the line of scrimmage under Gus, and you're not pigeonholed into running that particular play against that particular formation. So, I mean, big picture with Heupel's offense, I mean, do you think it's an offense that will adapt if need be, or do you think it's one that may try to cram a square peg into a round hole?
I mean, I do think that you'll see adaptations to what Coach Heupel and the offensive staff wants to do. You got to remember, you have some different offensive philosophies on the staff, whether it be Alex Golish and where all he's been, or Jerry Mack, who's called his own plays. Now it's at smaller levels of football, but hey, football's football. I mean, Gus Malzahn was a high school coach before he was the SEC offense coordinator and all SEC head coach. So, I think you'll see different variations. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's with Josh Heupel's offense. There's something to be said about being simple. I mean, I can tell you right now, there were members of the staff last year offensively that talked about the playbook being too big, too complicated, and that, the kids couldn't handle the big playbook because you had so many variations off of just one play and that, kids would get confused. So, I don't know how many times I heard that a year ago. And well, when we get to the off season, we're going to have to dummy this down. The kids can't handle it. Well, they never got to the off season because they were all out of here. But, the point is sometimes, you want to keep it simple, and I'm not saying that's every play, but, I think sometimes coaches outthink themselves thinking they have to have this massive playbook, and they don't.
You don't.
I mean, you think the Ole Miss playbook is complicated? Because
Nope.
I don't.
Nope.
That's how, when Jeremy Pruitt hired Jeff Lebby, one of Jeremy Pruitt's biggest concerns is there just wasn't that much variation to it. It was pretty simple. Guess what, guys? Everybody's just loving Ole Miss's offense today.
Yep.
I looked on Twitter and everything else, and that's a simple offense. It's not a complicated offense. They use mismatches. They use consternation amongst the defense.
Yep.
So, hey, every quarterback is going to like it, the way that they feel like helps them, or every player for that matter. It's not just a quarterback thing. Just like, the defensive line, and right now they're loving Rodney Garner. Is he hard on them? Absolutely. But are they learning a ton and, feel like that Rodney Garner's got their back? 100%. So, I just think it boils down to Coach Heupel's offense can be simple, but simple's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe Heupel just needs to adopt the thought process of the Presbyterian coach and just never punt on fourth down and kick a bunch of onside kicks and go with that route. Then he'll have nothing throwing 10 touchdowns.
Basically play the game like the rest of us played NCAA football for years growing up.
Yes.
Play safe.
Yeah,
You just go for two. You go for it on fourth down. You don't punt. You onside kick. I mean, that's how we all grew up playing PlayStation.
Yeah, that works. That works for me. Austin Price, Volquest.com here. I want to ask you a two-part question here. One about the status of Cooper Mays, and the second, the status of Bryon Young.
Well, Byron's got no new update. Coach Heupel said yesterday they're preparing as if they were going to have him, but they've not heard an official word from the NCAA. Cooper Mays is healthier now than he was a couple of days ago. The chances of him playing have went up. I still call him questionable at this point, but again, he has seen some improvement in that ankle over the last couple of days, which at least gives some hope going into Saturday's game.
Austin, on Sunday night when you had Pat Narduzzi on The Nation, why did you not warn him not to say anything about Neyland Stadium and the potential impact it could have on the game Saturday?
Love it.
Hey, man, you got to make your own bed. Coach Narduzzi, while he's kind of a no-nonsense guy, he still comes across as someone who doesn't give a whole lot away. So I'm shocked he made those comments, to be honest with you. But, hey, it's the opportunity to be used, to Tennessee's advantage. I'm sure the fans will, he didn't poop on Tennessee.
No.
He just said, hey, in any game we've been in before with loud noise, our guys have handled it. I'm sure we will handle it fine this time too. So, we'll see. Again, a lot of that depends on how you get out of the gate and how Tennessee gets out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back to that the 06 Cal game, Jason, the game you were a part of, had that 65-yard touchdown.
Smacking them cheeks.
Meacham had a great game.
Oh, he had a great game.
So you go back to that game though, and what happened? It all kind of got steamrolling. You go back to 38 unanswered against Florida in 2016. It all kind of got steamrolling, and so once that crowd and the emotion and all that kind of takes over, it really can play into Tennessee's hands. So I think the crowd can be a huge part of the game Saturday at noon, especially if they get there and aren't still stumbling out of bed. So those noon games are hard to get to, and then the one next week will be even harder to get to when you're playing Tennessee Tech. But this week specifically against Pitt, I think the fans understand how big this game is and what it means to the rest of the season.
For sure. Austin Price, Volquest.com here on the Swain event fueled by Dead End Barbecue. Got Tennessee Prime tonight at Gus's world-famous fried chicken. Last week we had Kate Mays and Joe Milton. This week, Austin, who will the people see and hear from?
It'll be Cade Mays and Tyler Barron. Cade Mays and Tyler Barron. So Joe preferred to focus on Pitt. Hopefully we'll have him back out next week for Tennessee Tech. And I told him we understood. And, again, admittedly, he said there at Clancy's, getting ready to do Outkick 360 on Friday. And just, he talked about where he needed to be better and what mistakes he made in the football game. He's not blind to it. And so, he preferred to take extra time tonight and focus on that. And, hopefully he'll be back out for Tennessee Tech next week.
Austin, just what is your feeling for Saturday's game and kind of how you think it goes? I know there's still a lot of question marks with this football team.
Well, the most experience at the quarterback position lies with Pittsburgh. As Coach Heupel referenced yesterday, it feels like he's been around since the Reagan administration. He's been around a while, and Kenny Pickett, and Pitt's lost some key players on the defense from a year ago, but still have some really solid players. I think it's going to be a really good football game. Like I said, I think the crowd can play a huge role, even with Pickett's experience. I think a chance, to make it loud in there and get some momentum early. And, again, a lot of it, much like a year ago or the last few years, when it's determined by quarterback play, I think Saturday will be determined by quarterback play. How does Joe Milton play? And if he plays well, what's Tennessee look like? And if you don't play well, then how quick does Josh Heupel, potentially give someone else a look?
Austin, last week did not have any visitors on campus for Tennessee's Thursday night game. Any word of the recruits that will be in attendance this weekend for the noon kickoff against Pittsburgh?
Well, I think they're set to only have one official visitor at this point, that being Ephesians Pricestock, the corner who plays for your boy, Casey Clausen, out there in California. Supposed to have C.J. Madden and Joshua Josephs here, but I think those either have been pushed back or canceled. And, I think Tennessee's set to have some unofficial visitors in town, a couple of commits. Brody Foley, I think, may be here. Taven Jackson's announced he will be here. Some 2023s like Ethan Crisp out of Mount Juliet, Bryson Sanders out of Chattanooga Baylor, also set to be here. So, you get back to a Saturday, it becomes more normal to have recruits in. Just Thursday's just too hard with, games on Friday. Kids can't. If you're close, it's one thing, but if you're not close, which most of them aren't close, it's hard to be like, say, Coach, I'm going to go away the day before the game and go watch a college football game, but I'll be back tomorrow. That just doesn't fly too well with the old high school coach.
I don't know if I like Casey Clausen's high school logo. Looks like the Braves logo, though.
Is that why you don't like it?
It's close to the Alabama logo. It's close to the Alabama script, but
what colors are they?
Crimson and yellow.
That's an interesting color combination. Austin,
but he slashed Alabama, so it don't matter.
That's right, the Iceman. Austin, am I the only one that feels like it just doesn't seem like there's a lot going on in recruiting as it pertains to Tennessee right now? I mean, the defensive side of the ball, seems like they could use several more bodies. Do you think it's maybe a lack of recruiting on Tennessee's part, or maybe waiting to hit the transfer portal at the end of the season?
Yep, you're the only one that feels that way, Ben. The only one.
We knew Beard was being weird.
I'm just playing. You have to understand, like, half of their class is done because they're done pretty much on offense outside of maybe one receiver spot.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's just all the defensive names. And the defensive side of the ball has been a little more calculated in how they approach things. And I think a lot of it will be determined on how these defensive transfers do. I mean, if you look up and Caleb Tremblay, DJ Terry, Jawan Mitchell, even a guy like Patsy Muhan had 4 tackles last week, 3 of which were on special teams. If you look up and they've had a nice season, doesn't it behoove you to maybe look in the portal a little bit more instead of taking, the high school kids? I mean, if you're trying to flip it quicker, going with someone who's been in a college weight program, has been through a college practice, I think that you could potentially see that, and I think that's why the defensive staff has, been more methodical, to put it in easy terms, with how they kind of approach recruiting. I mean, you brought up James Pierce last night in the Volquest chat. He's someone that the staff really likes. They still got to get him here, though. And he's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Coach Eckler went and saw him last Friday, but they still got to get him here for a visit, and so we'll be interested to kind of see how the rest of the fall works with the defensive guys. I mean, they need corners, they need defensive linemen, they need Leos.
So everything.
Pretty
much. Man, Austin, we've held you almost 30 minutes, man. We thank you so much for your time. I think we covered everything that we could possibly cover in a 30-minute time frame, recruiting and some of the team things going on, injury update, eligibility update with Bryon Young, and injury update with Cooper. So I don't think we've left anything out, guys.
Sounds good, Jason.
All right.
Anything for you, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Tonight, Tennessee Prime, it either be Austin Price or Brent Hubbs and myself with the Tennessee players, man. Austin, did you taking the night off, or we got Hubbs?
It will be Hubbs.
The GOAT.
Hubbs and Jason Swain.
The GOAT. I mean, with the GOAT. Hubbs, you all right too, Austin, but Hubbs is the GOAT. So
Hubbs is the GOAT of goats.
That's right. That's all right. AP, man, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate you.